job you want, not the one you have. I love it. Love it, love it. Okay, guys, so we're gonna get started. We're gonna I got in my opinion, some good info to share with you guys today. Just had an incredible event down in Jacksonville. I know a few people in the office got a chance to be a part of it. I'm gonna put this on the YouTube channel and things, so excited to share a bunch about what I learned and pass it on. So I need to share my screen today. And we are going to get things rocking. But if you haven't had a chance to join the YouTube channel, you need to. You need to. So we're going to get things rocking. All right. So today, guys, I'm going to go over how to move toward what you want. I see the screen. I see Erica. Can you give me a thumbs up, Erica, that you see my PowerPoint? Good? Okay, cool. All right. So how to move towards what you want. I'll tell you, 20 years ago, I started in this industry, and I had different phases of movement and growth and attacking my goals. And I'll tell you, I went through a couple different phases. And in my opinion, there's three types of people that are in the workplace. And I'm not just talking about the industry that we're in. I'm just talking about in general. There's the, I don't know. It's like the not too sure type of person. There's the person that's always frustrated with not getting advancement opportunities or growth opportunities, or they're not hitting performance metrics. And then there's people that are just fulfilled and that are free and that are really moving towards their life goals, their career goals. And so I'm going to break them down a little bit and describe why these three types of people exist, and if you're one of them, how to get out of it. So the first type of person is people who say, I don't know what I want to do. I just don't know. And maybe it's because they're inexperienced. Maybe it's because they're young and they just don't know what the world offers and what careers offer, and they have limited experience, limited things to compare things to. But these types of people are often confused. They lack a strong sense of purpose or self-confidence. They dabble, they drift in life and in their careers. And if they are growing, they're unfocused and they lack enthusiasm. Very interesting to watch these people exist in the workplace. Because I know from my own experience, when I went through this phase of life, and again, it was when I was really young, and it didn't happen for very long. It was probably in my first 30, 60, 90 days into this industry that I'm in. But I really just didn't know what I didn't want, but I'm sorry, I didn't know what I wanted, but I know what I didn't want. And what I didn't want was to have someone else that had control over my opportunity or my income. What I wanted was control over my life, my income, my advancement. And as I started to take control of my life and started doing the things for my career that I needed to, it was very interesting. I started to see these people, and they used to be my friends, because when I started in the company, in this industry, there's people that I was friends with, I'd compete with, and I'd hang out with, and outside of work. And then over time, I started to realize that they weren't like me. They weren't going to where I wanted to go. They were kind of full of shit when it came to their career. They said they wanted things, but when it came down to it, they weren't willing to do the work. They weren't willing to move forward. They weren't willing to make the right choices. And then I moved into this next phase of people that, when I started to kind of figure out that, okay, I did remove kind of some of those quote unquote friends around me in my industry that I was really just peers with and acquaintances with. I wasn't really friends with them because they just didn't think like me. And I started to realize that I wanted to get ahead. I wanted to be a self-made millionaire by 30 years old. And I knew if I was going to make moves to do that, I needed to get ahead in what we did. And so I started to get in my head straight. I started to get moving. But then I would make progress a week and I would fall back another week. I'd make progress a week and I'd fall back another week. And what I didn't realize was my inconsistency in my career was because I was inconsistent at my life. I was a college athlete. Played Division I soccer for 4 years for a team that was in the top 20 every single year. At our peak, we were number 6 in the country. We lost the Elite 8 a couple different times. And I again sat across from a mentor, which I encourage everyone to have a coach and a mentor. And I started to ask questions about what he saw. You guys know Michael. And he said, I'll never forget, about 3 months into this opportunity, I worked in his sales company. He said, I know why you're frustrated. I know why you lack growth in your career, and you have good weeks and you have not so good weeks. And he said, it's because you're immature. You're too fucking immature to have anyone follow you across the street. He's like, some weeks you go party all weekend and you're in your Penn State mode and you do your thing. And yes, you make a couple of $1,000 a week sometimes. And other weeks you make 500 and then you make 1,000 and then 500. And you're like a roller coaster. He's like, but it's because you're still a kid. He's like, until you actually get a planner, until you actually make a to-do list, until you actually mature as an adult, you have a very limited financial opportunity. And he's like, you're a college athlete. How many times have you worked out this week? I was like once, maybe. He's like, you worked out 7 days a week. And you're telling me you don't take care of your health now? He's like, that's a perfect example. And the reason why people are so frustrated is because, and the reason why I was so frustrated is because I knew what I had to do. And there was a gap between I knew what I had to do and what I was actually doing. And my disciplines that got me to play at a high level in college sports, I let go of. And I wasn't as disciplined. And it wasn't as disciplined with calling people back. Like when my mom called me from South Florida and I was living in New Jersey, I wouldn't talk to her for like weeks at a time sometimes, which is crazy. Right? And it really came down to, like it says in the slide, I just wasn't willing to pay the price. I wasn't in a part of my life where I was willing to pay the price and do the things for me and myself and my career that were going to help me get ahead. And it's interesting because I was also, and this is 3-4 months, like I said, 4 months into the business, into this career opportunity, that Michael sat me down and he gave me this laundry list of things that he was watching from afar. And I remember walking out of that meeting. I'll never forget. It was 7:00 Monday morning. I used to meet with him weekly because he owned the company and I got a chance to sit with the CEO, the owner of the business, every week. And I just said, I'll be there whatever time you ask me to be there. I don't care. And he said 7 a.m. Monday morning. And I drove an hour and 15 minutes to get to the office. And I cared enough about my life and my career and my future that I made it happen every Monday morning. And when I walked out of that meeting at 7:15, because he sat with me for 15 minutes a week, I remember walking out with the tail between my legs and saying, you know what? Fuck that. Why am I acting like this? My mom would smack me. Like literally smack me and say, what's wrong with you? And so I decided after that 4 months to get serious about what I wanted. And it's interesting because people who really know what they want, and listen, it had nothing to do with like doing what I do now, to be honest. What I wanted was control of my life, control of my finances. I wanted to stop living paycheck to paycheck. I wanted to drive a nicer car instead of driving my grandmother's 1981 Corsica piece of shit. Like I wanted to drive a car that didn't break down on me all the time. I wanted to have something that was reliable so I could actually take a girl on a date and not be ashamed. It is what it is. Like I wanted to be in control and I wanted to get my own place instead of living at grandmother's apartment in a retirement community. like literally retirement community. You had to be 70 and older to live at this community. And I snuck in the back gate because my dad owned the place. Right. And then I started creating a vision. I started thinking to myself, man, what is the vision that I want? And the first vision that I created for myself had nothing to do with my life today. I knew at some point in my life that I wanted to have homes and I wanted to have cars. I wanted to have a beautiful family. I knew at some point, but I was 22. I wasn't thinking about that. What I was thinking about was I wanted to have the freedom of entrepreneurship, to have complete control of a business. And so I started creating like business cards for myself. I started drawing out the design of my office, what it would be like when I moved in. And I started like, having pictures of different places I traveled to. And for me, because I'm a soccer guy, I started thinking about like things I'd never done before, like going to the World Cup or going to see a game in England or Spain or whatever. I started thinking about just things that that were kind of crazy. I started thinking about, I'd never been to Vegas. I wanted to go to Vegas. I'd never been to some places in the Caribbean. I wanted to go to nice places in the Caribbean. But I started creating a vision. And it was very interesting when I started thinking about my future more seriously, and I started really getting around people that were going to help me get to my goals. I literally wrote weekly goals for Michael. And I sat with him and I said, hey, this is where I'm at. This is my goals. This is what I did last week. This is what I didn't do well last week. This is what I did really well last week. Can I just get your perspective, because you're a business person, you have a lot more experience than me. What would you do? And I literally sat there and listened. So often that today I reach out to people and I give them advice. I'm like, hey, can I give you some help? Oh, yeah. And then I give them a bit of my perspective, and then they turn around and give me objections and tell me why it doesn't work for them. Let's just we're on the same page. Like you clearly don't want my advice. You don't want my perspective. So don't worry about it. I'm not going to give you it anymore. Which is totally cool. And what that tells me is people are not ready for it. They're still in the second phase, or maybe that first phase. Right. But at some point, if somebody really wants to move their career to where they want to go, they got to get to this third phase of the workplace. And it's, again, very interesting what happens is people in the workplace, they have a lot of passion. They have a lot of purpose. They're super focused. Now, keep in mind, they're not too focused where they don't have fun, but they are focused on getting ahead. And then little by little, that purpose starts to help them make better decisions. And then the choices, the decisions daily, the goal setting, like in our office, it's funny. It's interesting to me to see people. We have this thing called a sales tracker. And it's interesting how consistent people are and then how they fall off. And then they get back on when I ask them, and they fall off again. So to me, again, it's like they don't have a system in place. They don't have a planner. They don't have an organizational thing. Because imagine a client asks you for a report on a weekly basis to measure your competency of your relationship. And that's essentially what I'm doing. I don't need the report that the guys do. I actually have systems in place where it's all automatically paid, but I double check it because I want to make sure things are right. But the real reason people do this is because I'm testing their ability to be organized. Because if they're ever going to lead or manage a team, or lead or manage an organization, or lead or manage a process, they have to be organized, right? There's small lessons to help people move. Now, the interesting thing is when people are in this phase, like I said, where they really know what they want. And again, to me, it's little to do with like the exact role or whatever. It's really know what they want in their life. They walk around this planet and they're super fulfilled. They feel amazing about what they're doing. So when it comes to that, if you're in one of these phases, how do I make the moves needed? If I'm in phase one, I want to get to phase two. Or if I'm in phase one, I want to move to phase three. Or if whatever it is, and I want to get to that phase where I'm become very fulfilled in what I'm doing. The first thing is awareness. Awareness is the first step where you want to be. Literally taking time, quiet, and thinking about at the end of the day or beginning of the day, thinking about what I want to do today and actually writing some things down. Like writing 3 things, waking up in the morning and write down 3 things that you want to see in your day. What it does, it actually creates something in your mind. There's something called a reticular activation system. It's in your mind, and it actually gets you thinking about what you want. So it's like in sales and what we do when people that are young in the business and they're oftentimes negative or not, skilled or mature in a sales process, I would ask them about their day. And at the end of the day, they will tell me about all the negative customers and that one customer that was kind of rude or whatever. And the reason why they see that customer and they don't see the really nice one, they don't see the one that signed up, they don't see all the positive things that happen in their day. It's because inside they're kind of negative. They're in a place where they're still figuring themselves out, which is okay. Right? So if you ask yourself and you write things down, there's power in the pen. If you write down what you want to see in your day, you write down your goals for the day, then you start moving towards them. But becoming aware is the first step. And keep in mind, don't do it for me. For someone in the office, don't do it for your family, do it for yourself. Because you have to be strong if you're ever going to make an impact on people around you. And unfortunately, as I know, things happen in life. And people around us, unfortunately, don't live forever. And you'll learn how to live your life on your terms. So that's the first thing, is awareness. The second thing is action. Once you become aware of what you want to do, or once you become aware of the things that that you're doing now that are getting the results you're getting, and also not getting the results that you don't want, right? It's like, why do you keep doing the things that are not going to help you get your results? It's like crazy, right? Why do we do that? We're human, right? But you're not going to start winning unless you take action. You're not going to start making moves until the stories you tell yourself, reasons why things happen, are pushing you to accomplish more. Right? They're pushing you to get stronger in your life. And a lot of you guys know that, the unfortunate circumstances around my parents. Many years ago, now 10, which is crazy. It's been so long ago. The pain that I had when I went through and I lost them to cancer, it made me the things I went through in my career in my first 10 years about learning mentality, learning how to be optimistic, learning how to see the good in things, learning how to bounce back. The mentality of what I learned early in my first 10 years of my career, unfortunately, prepared me for that. And it was crazy because my family needed me to step up, needed me to take on tons of things. And some of you guys know what goes on to my family behind the scenes, but my brother and I had to take over and make decisions for people that couldn't make decisions for themselves. And so, the mentality and the things I learned my first 10 years prepared me for that. But you have to start taking action. You have to make moves. And you're not going to get anything done just by thinking about it. You're going to get things done by taking action. And listen, if you take the wrong action, taking the wrong action is better than taking no action. Do something. Busy. Just start. And the third thing that you can do if you want to make moves is get somebody that's truly becoming an accountability person for you. Now, the best people in life don't need anyone else to hold them accountable for what they need to do. I'm not saying you don't need an accountability partner. I'm not saying you don't need a coach, because I think you do, because they kind of fill it in a little bit. They kind of help out in certain ways. But at the end of the day, the accountability coach, the professional coach, the life coach, whatever, it's really up to you. It's you. It's your goals. It's how you want to design your life, right? The accountability should fall on you. And again, if there's people around you that kind of point out things to you and give you things that you got to work on and help you become more accountable or track things or whatever, then fantastic. But really, at the end of the day, we all put our head on our pillow or on something, I would say. And, we go to sleep. And I know what I do is I think to myself before I go to sleep all the time. And I'm normally laying with my boys or reading a book or, they're kind of Zing out or, snoring sometimes. And I think to myself, did I make progress today? Did I make more moves to things that I really want? And if and I'll tell you, normally I'd say 6 out of 7 days, I feel really good about it. And over the course of a month and maybe a day or two, I don't feel like I'm making progress to what I really want. But it's because I purposely move forward. I purposely take action. And I have weekly and monthly accountability calls with partners in our business and life coaches that I have to keep me on track. Last but not least, as you become accountable, as you start taking action, as you start thinking and creating the vision for what you want, it is very interesting to me how the universe works and how they start bringing like-minded people into your corner. It's called the law of magnetism. It's also called the law of attraction. And it's kind of crazy. I was just telling some of my team here in the office, we're meeting early today because the core people that really want to get ahead in their careers meet with me every morning between 9:30 and 10. They have certain metrics they got to be a part of, and we kind of chat about life and business, and I pour into them as much as I can. And I was sharing with them, I was like, 3 months ago, and 3 months ago now, right? We're in March, I guess. No, really 2 or 3 months, but either way, I did my vision board, which I keep it over here in my office. Something I look at all the time, and I highly encourage people that saw my stuff in January to make a vision board. And it has things on here about gratitude, it has things on here about manifesting, and knowing that it says unbroken because there's a lot of times I could have been broken. For the love of the game. There's money things on here, but right over here, there's a watch, which I don't know if you guys can see that. I'll get it kind of super close to the camera. So there's this watch over here that I put on there. And, of all the watches I have, I got a brown one, I got a silver one, and I don't know, I got like 8 or 10 watches. I didn't have a watch like that. And it's very interesting because some of my partners in business got me a nice gift for my service in this industry. And when I got to the conference, they gave me this watch, the $6,000 Tudor. And I looked at it, and when I got on stage in front of everybody, I looked at it and I just smiled. Because I knew in my mind that I'd put it on my vision board. And I thought it was very crazy. And I remember talking to someone at the conference about it, and I said, hey, it's very interesting how the life works when you're fulfilled. The universe brings people around you, brings people in your world. And it was crazy because at this event, they had a couple of videos, and apparently I found out for the people that did all the videos and cut the videos up, when in the industry, they asked people to submit videos about how I've made an impact on their life, an impact on their day. And they had 35 minutes of content, what I was told. And I was blown away. They said over 40 people sent videos. And I've never felt so loved in my life. It was the coolest experience that I've ever been through. Besides having Brady and Mason and my wife and I, becoming parents, this was probably second. And I'll tell you, I think the reason why people, maybe gave me some love is because I've tried to do my best with them over 20 years. And I do my best to encourage and coach and support and help people get through whatever they're getting through. And again, things are attracted to you. Like-minded people are attracted. So if you want to be a core leader, you want to be great in business, I'm going to give you literally a list. So you go through these phases, you go through this evolution, In my eyes, these are roughly 10 things that you should think about. First of all, I would think about my commitment. It's interesting to me how people who are less skilled at their jobs, at their sports, and again, you can talk to any of these like professional athletes or whatever, they'll tell you how they were just simply more committed. They spent more time in the gym, they spent more time shooting hoops, they spent more time hitting golf balls, whatever it was, they were just simply more committed. The second thing I would think about is, what are my standards? What is the quality of my work? How often do I follow the process that's necessary for the sales or for the industry or for the opportunity that I have? Am I doing it 100%? Am I doing it 80%? Am I doing it consistently? Am I doing it one week and I'm not doing the next? But my personal standards and my own performance and quality make a huge difference. The third thing I would think about is, how much do people trust me? What's my character? Do I tell people things that I don't do? Do I say things like, yeah, I'll be there at that meeting, or I'll be there on time, or I'll be there at the team night or office night, and then I just don't show up because other things come about, right? It's very interesting to me because I think what people don't know is, they don't realize is, the trusting character has nothing to do with other people. It has to do with you trusting yourself and your own character with yourself and how you feel. Again, it's either going to build you up or break you down. The last thing I would say in this slide is honesty and authenticity. And because we're in an industry of sales, obviously, being honest with people, if somebody has to, I don't know, pay off a previous provider or whatever, am I being honest, or am I walking the fine line of not telling them everything about the deal? And when it comes to honesty and authenticity, in my eyes, good people see that and they get excited. I can tell you, with my life coaches and business coaches, I saw a lot of people like make decisions that hurt their business, but was the right thing to do. And for me, that motivated me to be around these people, because I knew they weren't going to look at their own bottom line. They were not going to look at their own, income. They were going to make decisions that were right, because they know in life, when you do the right thing, then more good is going to come to you, even if it hurts initially. Next thing I would say is, do you have a humble swagger? Humble swagger is literally walking around, in my opinion, like this event we had, I had my notepad with me the whole time. I was taking notes on everything. In the morning, we run meetings in our office. What are you standing in the corner? Are you taking notes on the meeting? Because again, I'm thinking long term. If I'm going to be in leadership and management someday, I may want to run a meeting like this. I may want to run the content on this. Right? Am I taking notes and then looking it over? One thing I did early in my career, and I still do it now, is I take my notes and I put it on the computer and I document it. Right behind me, I have 3 or 4 binders that are 3 inches thick, full of content over 20 years. And I read through it and I remind myself, and it helps me kind of stay on track. But do I have a humble swagger? And a humble swagger is knowing that I'm going to be learning a lot, but also knowing that I have to still get better. And I got to have confidence in myself that I don't know everything, but I'm going to learn it all. I'm not a know-it-all. I'm going to learn it all. Another thing I would think about is, what's my law of attraction? I got to give Lucas some love. Like, he's in a suit today. We were talking to him 2-3 weeks ago. I just said, hey man, just a suggestion. I don't, you're new into my company, my organization. Do you want to lead, manage, and grow and mature and be in a great business long term? He's like, absolutely. And I said, well, if you don't show up with a tie on, not everyone's going to take you that serious. This just is what it is. So being young in a business and making a difference, and again, I wasn't judging him either way, but I love seeing that he cares. To me, that fills up my bucket of, hey, now I'm going to help him more. Work with him more, because now he realizes how important that is, right? So good law of attraction is huge when it comes to business. Another one, fiscally responsible. Fiscally responsible. I've heard stories of people in our industry. They make, they come from no money, they make some good money, they make $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a week, and then they blow it all on betting online. Crazy. And it's tough being young and not having the discipline to save. Right, but that just tells me again, that's a leadership trait. Does that person lead to being someone who's going to be great in business? Unless they change, no. I don't want someone who has a gambling problem to run my payroll. It's not going to be right sometimes, and I'm not going to work there very long. Right? So learning how to be fiscally responsible is huge. Huge. Another one is being available. Somebody wants to lead and somebody wants to coach. They want to, manage more than themselves. And my wife and I were talking about this last night in her company. There's certain boundaries to set up and everything else, but being available is super important. People sometimes need you. So one of the things that someone mentioned to me over the weekend is they appreciate how much I just answer my phone. They're like, I know you got business. I know you have a family, but I know if I call you, you're going to call me back if I leave a voicemail. If I send you a text message, you're actually going to respond. You're not going to look at my text and not respond. And then you get another text that I want to respond to and respond then. That's what a lot of people do. Right. And it's just so funny. Again, it's just human behavior. But am I available? And I'm going to be, giving a lot of love, to people that help me out. And then the last couple, optimistic attitude. An optimistic attitude. I'll tell you, life's going to beat you up. It has beaten me up a few different times. But the question is, do you walk around this planet and do you actually make a choice to be positive? And again, I can tell you 10 years ago when all this stuff went down with my family, I was in LA and I was running my office. And I, leader of the company. The day that I had to leave because my mom was moved to hospice, there was 5 to 7 people that worked for me for almost 2 months that asked my assistant manager, Azim, at the time, where's Ken? And he's like, you didn't know? His mom was battling cancer for the last few years. He's going to be out of the office for a week or two. They had no idea what was going on in my life. And the reason is because when I put on this Superman suit, and I'll show you guys this one, it says 2313 inside my jacket in the new custom suit I just got. And the reason I did that in this suit, it was for the conferences and everything else, is 2313 was the day that my son was born. It was the day after my father passed away. And it was the day that I decided to look forward and see the future and not dwell on my past. And it's interesting because, even every year I get actually a little bit of money from my mom's trust. And this year I spent it on buying a couple of suits with 2313 in it. Because I want them to know that I'm wearing my Superman suit when I show up to work every day to take care of my family. And so I'll tell you, I know life happens, but the question is, when you're getting beaten up, do you still show up with a positive attitude? And I'll tell you, it's not easy, but it's vital if you're ever going to accomplish what you really want, is to maintain your attitude. And then the last couple, being selfless, huge. You're going to give a lot. Give to other people, you're going to give to other humans on this planet, and you're not going to get anything in return. At least at that moment. But I will tell you, you will be fulfilled. The universe will pay you back. I've made 10, 15 times the amount I've ever given. There's some scenarios in our office sometimes, and I know John and some of our team internally that help me with payroll that were just kind of tricky and messed up and whatever. And I just pay the reps out on what they want and what they turned in, essentially. If the client makes a mistake, I cover it, and then I take it up with the client, even though it takes sometimes 60 to 90 days to get paid back on it. But in my heart, I know I'm going to do right by people, because I know long term the world's going to take care of me. So you got to be selfless. But I want to share this with you guys. If you haven't followed me already on YouTube, Clear Channel, you go to YouTube, type in KLEAR on Clear Channel. On Instagram, it's lower the what is that little dash on the bottom? I don't know what that's called, but it's Ken Lear. On TikTok, it's at Ken whatever dash Lear, and Facebook, obviously Ken Lear. I'd appreciate anybody if you would follow all the content we're putting out there. We're just looking to build this part of the industry and a part of the business, and help fulfill my mission, which is changing the world one leader at a time. And I appreciate you guys jumping on this morning and being a part of our live recording. I will tell you, I just purchased a new online system that I'm going to start recording our videos on moving forward. It just got purchased this week, so I will share with all the partners in the business across the country that want to be on live. But we're going to start using a 4K video and everything else to get some really clear content put out there. But I'll share with you guys how to join it live if you want to do that next week, because it's going to be actually, I'm sorry, not next week, the week after. We're not going to be live next week. I'm going to be in Mexico for the weekend, so won't be able to do any content down there except for drinking a lot of high quality H2O. All right, so happy Friday, everybody. You guys be well, kick some ass, have a great day, and thanks for jumping on, guys. Bye.